The Spirited Away is...
Spirit me away.
I mean, it's Spirited Away. You'd think there's not a lot left to say on it, but I think there is. Like,
there actually is a lot.
Everybody,
I would say.
We're going to go into this, as we do occasionally, assuming everybody's seen this movie. I think at this point it's a safe assumption to assume everybody's seen this movie. If
go buy those featurettes on the DVD. There's a lot of work I have to do.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie and then come back to us. We'll still be here.
For the love of God, go see the movie. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's been a while. Maybe some of our younger viewers just haven't gotten around to it, even though they know about it probably.
I hope.
And it's always worth revisiting.
Please. It's for your benefit. It's not for me, it's for you.
Yeah. So this was the first Ghibli movie that Nina and I saw. Was it for you too, Tooch?
But first, can we bury this hatchet? Because I always... Is it Ghibli or Ghibli?
It doesn't matter.
I think it's Ghibli.
Come on.
It doesn't matter because they mispronounced it when they made up the title. So the writing is wrong. Like they didn't even know
how does Miyazaki say it? That's got to be the right one.
Let me type in
Okay,
Ghibli.
here we go. The name Ghibli was given by Hayao Miyazaki as reference to the Caproni CA309 Ghibli. The Italian noun Ghibli is based on the Libyan Arabic name for the Sirocco, or the Mediterranean wind.
So it's Ghibli.
Blah, 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 blah. Although the Italian word is pronounced with a hard G, the Japanese pronunciation of the studio's name is with a soft G.
Ooh.
So either is technically correct.
Shit.
But the studio itself uses Ghibli.
Oh, it's a GIF.
It's a GIF.
Shit. But it's got even more credence than the actual GIF.
It does, because it's borrowing from another language, spoken in a different language that has different pronunciation of consonants.
God, this is the coolest thing that's ever confused and infuriated me.
Alright, so that's the hatchet that we needed to bury.
Well, Ghibli is what I go to in my brain without thinking about it, so fine.
I go back and forth, really.
I don't.
It doesn't matter to me.
Ghibli is just a silly word to say.
Ghibli isn't?
I don't know. It's because it sounds like jiggly.
Ghibli. You got the Ghiblies.
Tooch, was this the first Ghibli movie you saw, or was there another one that came first for you?
No, it was Spirited Away. It definitely Spirited Away.
Well, it was because Spirited Away was the first.
It got that Oscar noise.
Yeah, it got the Oscar noise, and it was really the first one to be. It wasn't the first Ghibli film to be brought into the United States, but it was the first one to be brought in with any pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
There were other companies who had brought in, like Nausicaa or Totoro.
Or Fireflies.
And
I mean, a lot of those did get praised at the time, but not widespread. Like, critics have always loved it.
I mean, Mononoke was probably the second biggest one, because that was distributed by Miramax. That one was pretty big at the time for a brief period.
Yeah,
but this was sort of the beginning of an era of introducing this studio to the Western world.
Japanimation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ebert was gushing about Ghibli from the jump.
Yeah. When nobody knew what the heck he was talking about, because it was like, you would have to go to very specialty theaters that would show these foreign films to watch this stuff.
Not only is it a foreign film, which is already a tough sell, it's also a cartoon.
Yeah. But a serious one? No one's gonna hunt that out.
It's a serious foreign cartoon. I mean, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun flick. That probably helped it. It's like it's telling a solid story with emotion, but it's also super duper fun.
Yeah, I feel it's very universal, even though though this and Mononoke are probably Miyazaki's films that are the most trenched in like Japanese culture and familiarity. Like, I mean, even The Wind Rises. I mean, I guess The Wind Rises would be too.
Oh, The Wind. I mean, it's less like culture and more just like legit ass Japanese history, because it's a biopic.
Whereas this one, Spirited Away has some stuff that you might not understand, like the English dub. They had to like spell some things out so you would understand it, like there's a line when Chihiro first sees the bathhouse. In the English version, she says, "It's a bathhouse." In the Japanese, she doesn't say anything because it's understood. We don't have bathhouse culture in the United States, so...
I had an interesting viewing experience with this. I was watching it with a friend, and they pointed out, because they could recognize it when they read the subtitles, I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch the subtitles, since I've only ever seen it dubbed. But then as we were watching it and reading the subtitles, she went, "These are the subtitles for the English dub script."
Yes, that was very frustrating. I hate that about the Disney
because...
DVDs.
They added dialogue where there wasn't any, so you just see words appear on a quiet scene.
Yep.
It was stupid.
It's very
stupid. When they're first running away, like when they're I don't know, I think it's towards the end of the movie when they're like running to go meet with their parents again. There's a whole bunch of explication that's not in the original film that's just happening on the screen while they're silently running towards the exit about what happened to her parents and shit. And I'm like, "Oh, well, what? Okay."
Yeah, or like the part where, she's throwing the hunk of coal into the furnace. And it's like, "It's hot." She doesn't say that. She goes, "Ah!" Can't recognize what an "ah" is. You need to specify that.
I just watched this last night in Japanese with English subtitles. Are you guys sure you didn't watch it with the English for the hearing impaired?
No, I specifically made sure not to watch it with the English for the hearing impaired. I was wondering if that would have been better.
I mean, I don't know.
That also puts like sound effects in there.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that one.
I just found it online, so I have no idea.
They do it for all of their DVDs. It was the same when we watched in my club at school. We watched Castle in the Sky. We watched it in Japanese with the English subtitles, and it was the subtitles of the English script. So my friend, who actually speaks Japanese and has grown up watching this movie, is like, "What?" I'm so confused. And I was confused too because I don't speak Japanese, but I've watched enough Japanese shit to understand basic phrases that when like somebody's just saying "thank you very much" and it's like all this extra shit and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, you gotta fill the syllable flaps with something.
You do. I just wish they didn't have to change the subtitles, but it does make sense why they do it.
I don't remember. Like, okay, one more question about the subtitles. Did the subtitles say God or Spirit?
I don't remember. I think Spirit.
I think
Spirit. Yeah.
I mean, they said kami a lot.
They say kami in Japanese, and the subtitles I was reading translated that to God, whereas in the English dub, it's translated to Spirit. Here's the thing. I just bought the Blu-ray DVD combo, and when Nina went back to school, she took the DVD, and I watched the Blu-ray. And maybe they've got different subtitles? That's
possible.
That's possible. They probably just used the older DVD, but for the Blu-ray, they put new shit on it.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because it's a new version of the film, so they would go back and spruce it up a little bit.
They went back and did it right.
That realization is very comforting because I was losing my fucking mind when you guys were talking about that shit because I just watched it and it wasn't there.
Okay, so now we know the preferred version is the Blu-ray. Japanese with English subtitles.
Yep.
Because as much as we love our dubbing actors, I honestly really got a lot out of this Japanese version. I really enjoyed it.
See, the reason why I and Nina, and I guess Tooch, we all came to the same conclusion independently. We all decided to watch it in Japanese this time because we've seen it in English like 5 times. And change of pace. Mm-hmm. Let's see, this was a Disney-made dub. This is the first one that Disney did before they started bringing over the other ones. Or redubbing the older ones. So let's kind of see the change. And with the subs I got, it was pretty similar.
It was pretty similar.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no like egregious errors.
No. It was just different
things.
acting performances, really.
Yeah. Because a criticism that like when I was in college, I had a buddy who had never seen this movie, and the rest of me and my friends were like, "You've never seen Spirited Away?" We were those jerk offs. Yes. But we showed it to him, and like at the end, he looked at us like, "Why did she scream every line?" And like I had never noticed that, and it never bothered me. But now that I'm conscious of it, I'm like, "Fuck, she does." She does.
She screams every single line, and it's unfortunate because the actress who plays her, she played Lilo, and we know from that film,
DeVay Chase, I think it's pronounced.
We know from Lilo that actress is perfectly capable of subdued performances.
And also the guy who was the guy who played the boil room worker was voiced Jumba.
Yeah. I think part of it is...
Fun facts.
I think part of it is because the person who they had doing the ADR was not a seasoned ADR director. They were their typical Disney voice acting director. So the person who was doing it had never done ADR before.
Yeah.
And so they weren't really teaching the actors the process enough. You know, they themselves seemed very stressed about the whole idea of ADR and, like, you know, the beeping and the timing and what have you. So it's very possible that they were just like, get the line out as fast as you can.
Yeah, just say it. Say the thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Like, I don't think any of these actors had worked in dubbing before. I mean, maybe Marsden, but even though probably not. I don't think
so. No, I don't think he had. I don't know.
I think so. Isn't that his bread and butter?
Marsden, no.
No.
His bread and butter is American produced animation, and he started with Disney.
Oh, you mean like specifically anime? Okay, I just thought you meant.
I meant ADR.
Yeah, because
okay.
I mean, again, DeVay Chase had done Lilo. Like, she has experience in leading a animated film, and you know, John Ratzenberger had his great cameo. Like, I think
Spirited Away was his first thing that I can tell for a fact was ADR. It's like definitely his first anime.
Yeah, you can always tell when it's their first ADR.
Yeah,
which is sort of the problem.
You never forget your first.
Which is sort of the problem with these Disney dubs is that, you know, you have a lot of people who've never done ADR before.
Yeah, because it's a drastically different art. Like, because you don't in the way that Western animation works. You actually know that in isn't it in Japanese that they animated first?
Yes, ADR is the standard dubbing process for animated works in Japan. That's why Akira was so phenomenal, because it was one of the first works to really not do that.
Yeah, because whereas in Western animation, they do the voice acting and then the animation. So the voice actor gets to dictate the pace. In anime, both dubbed and subbed, that's not the case. So it's a very different...
Yeah, it's the script that the script and the director dictates the pace.
Yeah. So the actor is put in a completely different position where they're actually taking a lot of their agency as an actor. They lose a lot of that.
That's why a lot of Japanese voice acting is based around, like, playing archetypes and specific character types, like the exuberant masculine guy or the sheepish girl or whatever. It's like a crutch to help them through that process. But anywho, we watched in Japanese, and it was very refreshing and lovely, and it was really nice to see a more nuanced Chihiro and a more bishonen haku, a more gender-ambiguous haku. The story behind the film, you know, where Miyazaki got this idea, came from a friend of his, associate producer Seiji Okuda, who had a 10-year-old daughter. And they would often come over to visit his house, like, during the summers. They spent their summers together. And, you know, through this visiting, you know, he got to know a little bit about this girl and her friends. And he wanted to make a film for these friends, for this particular age group, because he said he directed Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service, which he considered more for children or more for teenagers. But he said he'd never created one for 10-year-old girls. For some reason, because he had been hanging out with these girls, he really got stuck on this age group and, like, what is it to be at this age? Because it really is an interesting age, because you're really on the cusp between childhood and all the shit that comes after childhood before adulthood, right?
Yeah.
So,
you're
like,
on the cusp of this other cusp.
You're on the cusp of another cusp. So, like, he tried to read shoujo manga that the girls left behind in the cabin for inspiration about, like, what is 10-year-old girls' media like? And he hated it. He felt it only offered, like, subjects about crushes and romance and that typical fluffy, puffy nonsense shoujo whatever. Like, the typical not very interesting shoujo stuff. And he said when he was looking at these young friends that he had made, he felt that this kind of stuff wasn't what they held dear in their hearts, and he wanted to produce a film about a girl heroine whom they could look up to instead, but who embodied them as well. And, you know, part of it was, like, he was also kind of, there was this age gap, the shock for him because of this new generation of young people, and initially he saw them as kind of lazy and kind of whiny and kind of inept, which does describe Chihiro very well. But he felt like there's got to be something else going on with these kids. They can't, just because they're privileged doesn't mean there's nothing to them. So when he describes the story, he describes it as this. I created a heroine who is an ordinary girl, someone with whom the audience can sympathize. It's not a story in which the characters grow up, but a story in which they draw on something already inside them, brought out by the particular circumstances. I want my young friends to live like that, and I think they too have such a wish. I love this man. I love it so much, and it's beautiful. And this was the second Ghibli film to experiment with like computer animation, though all the characters were hand drawn. Apparently, the original script was going to be a 3-hour-long movie.
Oof.
Wow, I'm glad that didn't happen.
And then he remembered, oh yeah, children. Yeah,
and he was like, I can't do that, so he had to cut out some scenes and make it more simple. And another interesting thing about Chihiro, besides her sort of being this kind of awkward character that you normally wouldn't make a heroine, she also stands out amongst his other heroines because he tried to not make her a pretty girl. Like, at first he was kind of frustrated with it because he was like, she just looks so boring. She's not cute. Like, isn't there something that we can do to make her more visually appealing? But, like, through working with the character in this film, he realized that, like, though physically she might not be as cute or as beautiful as his other characters that he's worked with, she does have this charm and this strength and this realism to her. And even as a kid, I noticed that. She has, like, a frog face most of the time. She doesn't have a pretty face. She's not, she's not ugly. Like, you compare her to, like, Kiki or, like, Nausicaa or,
the girls from Totoro, whose names I can't remember.
May and I can't remember the other one. Like, they're very pretty girls, and they all look very similar, too. Mm-hmm. But, Chihiro's kind of awkward looking. Like, she's too skinny. Her clothes don't fit. She
is made of sticks.
Yeah, exactly. She's made of sticks.
She's so scrawny. I love it about her, though.
I adore it. Because when I was a kid, that's what I looked like.
Yeah, children, they're literally in the middle of growing. They're not supposed to look right. They're not done yet.
I mean, luckily girls get that out of the way quicker. Like, dudes are still, like, 16 and have, like, an extra foot growing out of their head. It's so fucked up. Like, I remember going to, like, some award ceremony at Nina's school and, like, looking at all the boys, and I'm like, there's, like, a 4-foot variation in height among these little folks.
It's ridiculous. You just can't tell how old anyone is, ever. I'm so bad at it, but I don't know how anyone's good at it. Just telling people's ages.
I mean, once they start speaking, you can tell they're in middle school, because, like, oh, this sucks. Oh, I hate every moment of this.
Oh, man.
Oh, you haven't learned how to handle your smells yet.
That is a big part of puberty. They always talk about it in health class, and nobody listens, but it's like, seriously, though.
You smell like shit.
You smell
You stink right now. Hey, like you're just screaming in their face. They're just staring at you.
You're just waggling a stick of deodorant in front of their face. Hello?
Use this.
Hello?
And they're just on their phone. They're like, you're clearly right in front of them, but they're still doing that, like, lean the phone under the desk thing.
Yeah. Because, one thing that you pointed out to me when we were watching the Special Features, but, like, didn't elaborate on, is, people kind of give Miyazaki crap because all his heroines kind of look the same. They've all got the same haircut. And
if they don't, they will by the end of the film. And it's very symbolic, right? Because the two examples are, oh, God, what is her name? The main protagonist from Castle in the Sky and the main protagonist from Howl's Moving Castle, they both start out with long hair and braids. By the end of the film, it's removed in kind of a violent manner, symbolizing their growth.
Is it notable that their names aren't memorable at all? Is that a thing?
Sophie.
Should we notice that about ourselves?
I don't remember anything.
Names for some reason?
I've only seen Howl once, and I honestly don't remember anything from it.
Her name was Sophie in Howl. I can't remember the girl in Castle in the Sky, but I do know the guy was Paku. Because I liked him better.
We remember other
Sheeta.
people's names.
Sheeta, that's right.
Or sure it's Paku and not Pazu?
Oh, Pazu.
Yeah, it's Pazu.
Pazu, sorry. Something like that. So yeah, it's sort of the standard for all of his heroines. They either have short hair or they lose it eventually, and that means they're mature, strong female characters, right? Because, Miyazaki has his type, and that's his type. A strong, liberated female character means she has big eyes and short hair. But Chihiro is different, and I always heard people whenever I would mention Chihiro and as a counter argument, people were like, yeah, she's wearing a ponytail, it's the same thing. It's like, no, it's not. I think it's significant, particularly because the director has made a point throughout his entire filmography that the length of a woman's hair is indicative of where she is in the stage of her life. It's more that, Chihiro, she still has long hair, but she holds it up because she's trying to be grown up. She has to assume a grown-up role, but she isn't one. And even by the end of the film, like Miyazaki said, she doesn't grow up. She just learns that she had something going for her inside. And I think it's significant that what's the crap? I am just dropping the ball with names.
No, that was pretty good until right then.
Zenibaba. I think it's significant that Zeniba, the witch, her gift to her is a hair tie to hold up her hair. And one of the last things we see of Chihiro in the film, the last shot is the car driving away, but the second to last shot is Chihiro looking at the doorway, turning around, and her hairband flashing. And I think it symbolizes that she still needs the support of people who came before her and other women, too, because you think about it, it was Zeniba and Lynn who really supported her and helped her grow and embraced who she was and didn't they didn't do everything for her, but they sort of gave her the push she needed to take on the role she needed to take. And so I think that's significant because she's still very much a kid. She grew a lot, but she's not ready for the rest of the world. She's ready to take on being a new kid in a new town, but she still has more growing to do. She still needs that support before she's truly ready to let her hair down, I guess. Is how I've always seen it. So that's
smart
been
as hell.
My theory.
I was just listening to you say smart shit.
Because I love the fact that it's like a woman teaching a young girl what they've learned from their lives and bringing her up to make the most of her own life. And I really love that about this movie.
Yeah.
And it's pretty subtle, too. You don't necessarily notice it because Yubaba is she's supposed to be this evil witch. But I love the contrast between Yubaba and Zenibab because it's yes, a powerful woman can become kind of nasty, but that's just because she's greedy. You can still be powerful and have all these abilities and be a cool lady. It doesn't mean that you're damned to being this horrible monster. It just depends on how you are and how you treat other people and what you value the most. And Yubaba's terrible because she values money the most, which is sort of a...
There's a pun there because Zeniba translates to money witch.
Yeah.
Whereas Yubaba is bathhouse witch.
Yeah, which I thought it was interesting because Zeniba never mentions money at all. At all. She doesn't surround herself with jewels and gold
Well, she's got all the same rings and everything, but that could just be magical shit.
Yeah.
She she probably doesn't. Maybe she probably doesn't need to be greedy for money. She's the money witch. She probably has all of it.
Yeah, maybe. But I do like that a lot because I've been exploring these themes of maiden and witch with my thesis and stuff, and it's cool to see two kinds of witches, and they're both very much witches. It's not like Wizard of Oz where the good witch says she's a witch. She's not a fucking witch. She's a fairy princess lady. These are really are two women who have power and use it differently, and they don't have to give it up to become good people,
Have we talked about your thesis on this show? Because it's very germane to what we do here.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
I'm working on it still. We can talk more about it when we talk about Tutu, I think.
Yeah, long story short, it's about magical girls and, well, like their cultural significance, something. I'll proofread it later.
It's essentially that.
Yeah, and to celebrate Nina graduating at the end of this semester, we're going to do Princess Tutu, one of the shows that she is covering in her paper. The other ones are Sally the Witch.
No.
No? Really? Okay.
I mean, I mentioned Sally the Witch.
Okay, that's why. It's Utna, Tutu, Sailor Moon, and what?
Princess Knight.
Princess Knight, that's right.
Yeah. Cool.
But other than, like, girls going through an Alice in Wonderland world and maturing and learning about life and blah, 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 there's other themes going on in this movie, too. And that is of the evils of capitalism.
Dun, dun, dun!
It's sort of like a commentary on, like everything about capitalism. The fact that it includes environmental pollution and, like, these kind of generational conflicts and, like...
Yeah, I mean, environmentalism is like the most easily recognizable theme of Miyazaki's work. It's in...
That and anti-war.
Yeah.
And pro-flying.
Yeah. and capital... Like, I mean, environmental problems are, unilaterally an issue of capitalism. So, this is just him broadening his scope a bit.
Yeah, because, I mean, Yubaba, the way that she gains power is by stealing people's names. And symbolically, that means that she's, like, essentially stealing... She likes killing the child in them, right? And they have to kind of go through this hero's... Chihiro has to go through this hero's journey type...
This Chihiro's journey type story to sort of recover her continuity with the past and then creating a new identity for herself in the future.
If anybody wants to... like, do an academic paper about this movie, basically just quoting all the dope shit Nina says. Call it Chihiro's Journey, but you do have to PayPal Nina like $35.
Well, you can cite it. You can cite podcasts, I believe.
Please pay us some
Nikki just wants to make money off of my brain.
No, I think Nina would deserve the money.
Will you pay me for being smart? Because Lord knows the world isn't.
Hire Nina in 5 months, please.
But other than that, it's symbolic of capitalism's sort of single-minded concern with value. And you can sort of see there's always this sort of contrast between, like, Japanese traditionalism, because we are sort of in, like, this spiritual world that kind of lives in the past, with, like, making money. I mean, the bathhouse is a bathhouse. It's a business. The job is to make money. It's like a resort area for these spirits, or these restaurants. Her parents literally turn into consumerist pigs. The dad shows off how he has credit cards and cash. It doesn't matter. We can eat whatever we want.
Yeah, that's a bit of capitalism, and also her dad's just like a macho tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the whole bit where he's like driving up the road is like, I can do this.
And it's like, obviously this isn't the right way, Duber.
Why would you eat all that food that's just been left out there with no one around?
What I read is that the architecture and the sort of feel of this spirit world sort of takes influence from the Meiji period, which was the period when, Western capitalist influence got its mark on Japan. I mean, that's when they were forced to open up trade to the Western world. And it shows by, like, Yubaba's being the only one who wears, like, Western-style dress, and she has this lavish, like, European decor and furniture, while her employees have very minimalist Japanese furnishings and dress, right?
Yep.
And yeah, then, this time watching it, I was like, I'm getting a strong Baba Yaga vibe from her, and then I'm like, is that just because of the name? And am I a simpleton?
And even the theme park, like the dad mentions in the beginning, oh yeah, they used to build 1 million of these things before it all went down with the economy. Chihiro's transformation is her, like, literally walking through this gate of, like, the collapse of the, like, bubble, right? to a past world where times were simpler and then, like, coming back. Like, you could do a whole thing just about the sort of historical allegories involving commerce just in this film, which is definitely not something I caught as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the obvious stuff, like everybody going butso-nutso for the gold.
Yeah.
And, like, just losing their minds over it.
And I think what works in this film's favor is, that's not the crux of the story.
No.
Like, it's all framework, it's all themes, it's all, running motifs and things to make it a cohesive world with just everything connecting and making sense. So that's why, and, good stories have that. Good stories do that. But then you see, I don't know, some fucking BuzzFeed article, frickin', it'll be something like, Spirited Away secretly about capitalism. No, it's not. Shut up. It is, but it's not.
People think, BuzzFeed people think that subtext is fucking secret. No, man, no, just use your brain for once.
It just helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's, No Face's whole arc, he wants to be accepted. He goes into essentially a palace of greed, becomes corrupted, has to vomit out all the shit that he's been eating, both literally and figuratively, and then he can calm down and go back to normal, right? And it comes from this place of loneliness, of wanting to belong. In No Face's case.
Which in the Specie
sounds like college.
Yeah. In the Specie Features, Miyazaki said, that's an aspect of my personality. This real, this desperation to be accepted by doing the most whatever phony shit you think is going to get you liked.
Fucking Miyazaki's just I can't tell you how many times I ate an entire frog just to feel included.
Well, Miyazaki did actually pull a bicycle out of a river.
Yeah. Cleaning a river and then... one very subtle visual joke about that scene that I caught for the first time this time is when they're trying to tie the rope on the handle and Chihiro keeps fucking it up and then Lin gets in there and just does it immediately.
That's what I love about this movie. Even as a kid, I noticed it immediately because, I was never into, Harry Potter or your Narnias or any of, these children's fantasy literature where you have, this chosen one and they're, super great at everything and they get thrown into this magical world they have no experience in, but they do just fine and have no worries whatsoever.
Happens all the time.
To show a real ass kid who's so bad at being alive, which is what
sucks.
Which is what a child
she
is.
She fucks up constantly.
That's how.
Dude, when she's running, when she's sprinting down those stairs because she goes too fast for herself and just eats shit on that wall.
Yeah, that's what's real. That's a real person. That's me. When I was a kid, I saw myself in a way I never saw before. I can't fucking tie a knot. I can't do any of that shit. That's why she has all that support. She can't go through the journey without those supporting people. And that's why at the end she's still not an adult because she still needs help. Right? She can't buy
She weighs 10 pounds and 8 of it's her head.
The coal's too heavy. She's clumsy. She's not coordinated. She's not, she's a real fucking child. She's not this wonderkind that can just understand everything immediately.
The only thing she did that would have where the suspension, not even suspension disbelief, but that's something a child would happen to a child, is that she managed to force feed a dragon medicine. I can't force feed my cat.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing she did.
Does your cat even have any muscles? So Gnocchi could bite my hand off under duress, but
yeah.
I've seen some dogs. There was a dog I hung out with in Colombia the whole time who was she was just an idiot little teddy bear. She was super cute, super sweet, but man, you could not do anything.
No. Oh, she was the best.
She tried to growl and it just sounded like purring. She was a little nothing dog. She was great. She had one eye. She was super cute.
Oh, she's so cute. So that's part of why I love the movie so much is because I've never before or since seen a character that I so identify with. And I watched that film as a 10-year-old, and it, of course, blew my mind. Like, I had never seen anything like that before in so many ways. Not just the visuals and the spectacle, but I had never seen a main character just fail repeatedly.
Never seen that much of a ding-dong character. And it's not like that kind of like Mary Sue thing where it's like, oh, they're a ding-dong, but everyone loves them. Like, no, everybody everybody thinks Chihiro's a ding-dong.
Even her parents are like, big fucking Chihiro,
shut
up.
Please walk more than 9 consecutive steps at a time. Christ.
But like, just like that image of her when she refuses to go through the tunnel and she's just like grabbing her shirt and she's got that stubborn face. Like, that was me as a kid. I never wanted to explore. I didn't like breaking the rules. I wanted everything to be the way it was supposed to be. Like, I totally would have been angry at my dad for getting out of the car and be like, no, we're supposed to go to the house and we have to do the thing and I have school on Monday and Daddy, like, that was me. I was that fucking kid. And I got to be the hero of a story somehow. And it was just amazing.
It's a fun time for all. All had fun.
It was very formative for me, too. I think it may have been the first good anime thing I've watched. Like, I mean, I'd watched, like, Pokemon and Digimon and stuff, which is, like, it's popcorn children's media. It's fine for what it is, but, like, and then, like, in middle school, I started getting into anime and manga through a buddy of mine, Ryan. But, like, I think he was still so, like, excited by it that he wasn't filtering out what was good and bad and was just kind of sharing everything. So,
he was
like,
in middle school, Nikki.
Yeah, that was also the case, too. So, but, like, a lot of the stuff that, like, he ended up passing on to me was, like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, he was watching, like, Trigun and Bebop, but, like, not when I was over.
Yeah, there was one day where he babysitted me, and he showed me the just strangest collection of stuff. He let me watch Spirited Away because I recognized it and I wanted to watch it again because I'd only watched it once previously.
Yeah, our family rented it from the video rental facility.
Yeah, and I remember being like, I don't want to watch this. This is weird. I don't know what this movie is. I'm not gonna like it. I don't.
And I think my parents got it because of all the Oscar buzz it was generating. Like, they didn't know dick about Ghibli.
Yeah, they
just
knew
like,
absolutely
this is
dick
a
about
family
it.
movie. Our kids love cartoons, and this is supposed to be really, really good. So, I mean, good call.
Yeah, and I was, like, set out to hate it. I was like, I don't know what this movie is.
This isn't Cats Don't Dance. Why didn't you go to the movie store and get anything other than Cats Don't Dance?
Because I haven't seen commercials for this movie. I don't want to...
Yeah, that was a thing. That Disney didn't market this, apparently, that well.
No, not at all.
Like Wikipedia, an objective website, just straight up says their promotion was given worse treatment than their B movies by comparison.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And that's a fact.
And it's
I guess.
True. It was like a sleeper hit, because I remember the next day in school, or the next school day I had to tell everybody, even people I wasn't friends with, like, have you seen this movie? Have you heard of this movie? And everybody thought I was talking about the horse one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at, because it was nominated for and won the 2002 Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, which it deserved, but, like, I'm looking at the other nominees. 2002 was a good goddamn year for theatrical animation. The nominees were Spirited Away, Ice Age, Lilo and Stitch, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, and Treasure Planet. Now, like, Treasure Planet bombed, but, like, I think that movie was pretty good. Lilo and Stitch is my favorite Disney movie.
Wait, the horse movie was nominated for an Oscar?
Yeah. I watched it. I don't remember.
It was very pretty.
It was
the backgrounds I'm not saying and the bad. Horse animation was unprecidented for anything.
Yeah, they got all the people in the world who could draw a goddamn horse. Like, they got, like, all 12 of those human beings, and they drew all the horses.
Like, I'm not knocking that film because I don't want literally everyone who liked horses to yell at me. But, like, Oscar, like, to be nominated for an Oscar, that's interesting. It's not feeling like an Oscar movie. Like, because Lord knows, if there's anybody who doesn't think that the Oscars are any indication for quality, holler at your boy. But yeah,
and Ice Age, it was a lot better than other people remember because the sequels aren't as good. But, like, the first one is actually a really good movie that we should do next winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, those other 4 movies were had their butts advertised off.
Yeah, they really did, and that's why when I went to school, nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. And I felt so alone for years.
You were like, guys, it won an Oscar. And they're like, The Grouch?
Chooch, what was your first experience with this movie?
I don't recall. It might have been the month of Miyazaki. Like, I think I always heard about it, but I think until Cartoon Network actually played it, I finally, like, made the time to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Because it was on TV. Like, I didn't have any... I wasn't the kind of kid to be like, hey, can we go get this movie? Like, I would always just be like, hey, do you want to get something? I'd be like, no. No, I want to go home and play Game Boy.
No.
You can bring it with you in the car. Like, what if the batteries die?
What if we go under a bridge, then it'll go dark and I'll fall in a hole? I fucking hated that. But I was like, so she was like, let me know whenever we're about to go under a bridge. And that's like, absolutely fucking not.
You gotta get that worm light, bro.
I got the worm light later.
Yeah.
I had so much stupid garbage and I plugged in my fucking Game Boy. I forgot how much money I spent on stupid crap.
Yeah, you bought so much success.
I should have just bought games!
Yeah, it was weird because I remember the month of Miyazaki, but I think I literally only watched Spirited Away. Like, I didn't make the time for the other ones, which I'm sad I didn't.
Yeah, I mean...
I watched them all eventually, but, like, I only paid attention to Spirited Away, and then maybe there was something else on that I already knew I liked. I don't know.
Yeah, I watched it first with the family, then the second time when Nikki's friend babysitted, and then I watched, like, half of it for a month of Miyazaki when I was a little bit older, and then I hadn't seen it since today.
Dang.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I had this thing... I still sort of have this thing when I love something a lot, and it's not just that I love it, I love it in a way that it's formative. I don't want to touch it too much. I don't want to sully its...
No, because honestly, I had watched it like a few years ago, because me and like my friend Martin, who I often cite as the person to replace me with if I die on the show.
Yeah.
We just were just like, hey, do you want to just watch like every Ghibli movie we can easily find? And then sure. And then I watched it, and then I watched it again now, like looking out, like paying attention, and I'm like, no, this is exactly what. Like, it feels like I watched it yesterday.
Yeah, but that was the thing. It was like, I made this. I remember being fucking 12 or whatever when I watched it the last time, being like, okay, I love this film, but I want to put it aside for a moment so it can be special again when I revisit it.
It's definitely something that you save for special occasions.
But I went and sat down and watched it today, and I was like, I remember everything. It's been fucking 10 years since I've seen this movie, and I remember everything.
There are a couple of shots I've forgotten. I watched it like 5 years ago in college.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I think the like the how memorable it is a testament to how like simple and digestible the story is. Mm-hmm. Even if there's a whole lot of visuals going on, the focus and the things that actually happen are very simple and well told, and just by like basic like boom 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 these things happen.
Yeah, the only thing
it's so good.
The only thing I didn't remember is like what order these specific events happened. I remember every single set piece because the film is kind of a series of set pieces, which works really well as a kid because that's what you remember when you're a kid. But yeah, it was really amazing to me. It was like it never left my brain.
No, it's right there.
It was always there. To me, it was really one of those things that like I watch it at the right age, at the right time, in the right sort of period of my life where I needed something like that. And I didn't get it the first time, really. I was so confused. But it's one of those things, it like plants a seed in your head, and it grows there as you live your life and as you learn more and you grow more, and then you realize how much of a difference it made being privileged enough to see this movie, of all things. I don't know. And what did you think? You were a little bit older than me when you first watched it.
I mean, I thought it was... I didn't have the same kind of profound thoughts that you did. I loved it. I thought it was super great. I was also a little hesitant going into it. I'm like, weird movie, but like, it's visually stunning. It's a kind of, not just visuals, but like, despite the universalness of the plot, the way that the scenarios are presented, give it a sort of fantastical element. And maybe that's just because, I haven't seen that much of Japanese culture, but I think even if you are familiar with it, there's a fantastical element to it that this this brings that is new to the whole situation. I really liked it. I really enjoyed the novelty of it. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, and it just became something that I always accepted as given as just like, oh yeah, that's one of the great movies. It's just one of the best movies that there is, without ever really like analyzing it until this week, I guess, because I guess maybe on a subliminal level, all this stuff has hit me because I mean that's how this stuff usually works. You know, for normal people who don't make podcasts, this is how they enjoy great stuff. Is that they do get this on a subliminal level, because you can tell. There's plenty of like gorgeous and fun movies that like are pretty hollow ultimately, but like this sets stuff apart because you can tell that there's this profundity and this passion. That's the other thing, is that this level of passion, the singular voice of Miyazaki, which, obviously with any kind of film, it's hard to be an auteur, and I'm not even sure you could call Miyazaki an auteur, because I don't know that much about his process, but he's certainly...
No, you can. He writes the storyboard by himself.
Okay, yeah, that's right. He does the entire fucking storyboard, which is insane. On the Blu-ray...
Oh, he's a crazy person. All right, great.
On the Blu-ray, you can watch the movie, just the entire storyboard with the Final Cut audio. And I would like to do that.
I want to do that.
It's probably not that different. He's insane.
Yeah, his storyboards are magnificent. Like, they publish entire, gigantic books of just a storyboard for one film. And it's so detailed.
And that's, there's a level of detail in the animation,
because he writes the storyboard and the dialogue simultaneously.
This was actually pointed out to me by my buddy Ryan, the same guy who babysat Nina that one time. But, the scene where she puts on the shoes, there's the thing where she tucks her finger in to get the one on, and then she taps the other one off. It's this ludicrous detail that's just there to be detail, but it doesn't distract from anything. It just gives it more of,
it's character.
Yeah, exactly.
They make them feel more like people. Everything about Chihiro's posture, she's constantly kind of hunched over. She's always sort of grabbing her center, which is something I notice I kind of do normally. I always just kind of have my hands layered over my center. I don't know what that is. I guess it's an insecurity thing. But, you contrast that with the other characters, and it's oh, okay. They didn't have to draw her like that all the time.
It's body language. It's character. It's character, feeling, and motivation, and it's language and communication of the character through art.
And one thing I noticed this time was whenever she winced from getting hurt, because she gets hurt a lot, she does this thing where she locks her toes together.
Yes, I noticed that for the first time this time too. That's so real. I don't lock mine, but I crumple them.
You curl them so tight, ooh.
It helps.
It doesn't help.
Or there's another cool thing, when bloody Haku flies out of the window and the blood whips behind him and it hits the door after he a second after he
it's
yeah, that was super. It's a cool movie.
God. It's such a cool movie. You
if
guys.
we keep talking about that, we're just gonna sound like the Akira guy from MagFest, just pausing the film every 2 minutes, going look at that,
look at that can.
Why'd they draw that? They didn't need to draw that. This film's nuts, you guys.
I don't know. I feel like
stay away from my cider.
I don't know. It came together. I don't know. Every little bit great. Did its job, and it's gorgeous. They
make the good
the dub,
movie.
For what it is, and especially if you take into account who is doing it, it's pretty great that they got it that good on their first try. But it's honestly a good dub. It's not a fantastic dub, and I think they've done better dubs. I don't think the Disney system is actually super well equipped to do ADR.
Yeah. No. There's this thing where people say oh, Disney does the best dubs, and I don't really.
What?
I know people keep telling me that, and I'm no. I don't agree.
First of all,
you.
Is that they're too. They do the same thing that a lot of people do, where it's put a bunch of celebrities in there.
Yeah.
Which is especially weird for stuff that's not going to be in theaters. If they're going back and dubbing an old one, when they put the two Fanning kids in for Totoro. It's not in theaters. There's not a poster to put those names on.
Yeah.
I think that they make solid dubs, but they're not great. But they're very watchable.
Definitely.
The only
if you haven't
celebrity-
seen it in Japanese, I do recommend that, but not first because, like, I mean, okay, this is another thing with the subtitles. Like, Tooch and Nina saw it with the English script subtitles. There, like you mentioned that thing about like mentioning the bathhouse. There was a couple of other things that I noticed, and I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget.
Oh.
When the radish spirit gets in the elevator, in English, it's like, oh, a radish spirit. In Japanese, she just goes, welcome. Because to a Japanese audience, they can recognize that that's a radish gujinka. Radishes aren't as big of a deal over here. I wouldn't have known that was a radish. And in fact, in this watch...
Does it even matter that it's a radish or not? Is it important that we know
No,
he's
but it's
a
like,
radish?
I was trying to remember what vegetable it was. I was like, is he a turnip? Is he a parsnip?
He's a daikon, which are gigantic radishes.
Oh yeah, those the ones that look fake.
That's one thing I did notice watching this a second time is that like if you look at the radish, like his hat is like an upside down bowl, so it just looks like you had a radish in a bowl and he just exploded into a man and then flipped upside down and walked away with the bowl still on his head.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
And then the other thing,
he's great.
When No Face gets out of the bathhouse, the line in English was, "I think that the bathhouse makes him crazy," and the Japanese line was more akin to, "I don't think he belongs in there," which I think.
That's a better line.
I think it is because I never really bought that explanation until Nina's analysis just now. That like he gets consumed by the greed and his need to belong in this house of greed and everything. I think the Japanese version,
it gives the audience more credit.
That and it's also a more self-evident statement to make.
Yeah,
that Chihiro would have observed that that is not the place for him, as opposed to it makes him crazy because I think. There's some lines which just read better in Japanese. I think that's the most notable one.
Yeah, I agree. Whenever they're like explaining things a little too much,
sometimes you got to do it
the first time. If you have no clue what any of this shit is, I wouldn't. I mean, I needed to watch it in English when I was a kid. You think I would have wanted to watch this in Japanese?
You would not have
when I was a
done
kid?
that.
Fuck
At
no.
10 years old? No way. Yeah, I would recommend watching it in English first, which, if you're listening, you fucking have. And then I would recommend watching it with the good Japanese subtitles, which, I mean, you gotta get the Blu-ray for that, but, like, it's like $20 on Amazon. It's worth it for this movie.
That's good for a Blu-ray.
That's very good. And you get the DVD, too, so you can play it on your computer or whatever.
Or give it to your sister who doesn't own a Blu-ray player.
Going back to Disney's, like, celebrity dub casting, the only one I'll agree with is Michael Keaton as Porco Rosso, because I love him. Give him more work. Yeah,
I haven't listened to that.
Also, Brad Garrett was in that movie as the Mama Ayudo gang boss, and he was pretty great in that too.
I haven't listened to that dub yet, or actually haven't even seen the movie, but that's one of the dubs I've heard is like people's favorite Disney dub.
It's a fun movie. I love it.
Yeah, we really need to watch it. I think my favorite actress in this dub was Suzanne Pleshette, who played Yubaba and Zeniba.
She's the best actor in this dub.
Yeah, she's excellent.
Or just more accurately, gives the best performance.
She gives an amazing performance as both characters.
I'm actually looking at the English cast, the Disney cast for Kiki, and like Kiki's played by Kirsten Dunst. Okay, everybody else, or most of the other people, are voice actors. Phil Hartman, Tress MacNeille, Cass Soucy, Jeff Bennett, Debbie Derryberry.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that one's probably pretty solid. Although, I mean, those guys don't have that much experience with ADR. Hartman does. He was in, well, not 19. I was gonna say he was in Afro Samurai, but this dub was done in 1998, so that's not how time works.
Yeah, and Afro Samurai took a lot of non-ADR voice actors as well.
Joe DiMaggio's in.
Bosom, and Jason Marsden.
And fucking Samuel L. Jackson. I think we forgot to mention that.
Did you think it goes without saying?
Do you guys know that Samuel L. Jackson was in an anime? Well, he was.
He was in the same one twice. One doing the voice that you expect, and then one him just like being subtle. Which, guess what? He can do that too. But everybody just wants him to cuss at people.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was famous for cussing at people, I wouldn't want to get money for doing anything else.
I love how these, I love, like, seeing what the character's names actually mean in Japanese, because, like, Kamaji, his name means boiler geezer. It's just, like, boiler old man.
Yeah, G.
And, of course, no face, it's Kaonashi, which is just faceless. The frog character, his name is just Frog.
I'll get it.
And then the radish spirit, his name is Great White Lord. Oshira-sama. He's great.
Why didn't they keep that in the translation?
I understand.
One thing that was weird about the literal subs I was getting is that, like, when they're falling from the sky, they, like, go back and forth saying Haku's real name, like, what seemed to be a crazy amount of times.
Oh, they did that in my version, too.
Like,
in the
Kohaku?
English version...
Nagayama Kohaku Nushi. Kohaku?
In the original version, they're like, oh, I think you're the spirit of the Kohaku River, where in the Japanese, she just says, I think your name is Kohaku. And then the whole river thing is sort of implied, because the name is like Nigi Hayami Kohaku Nushi, which is spirit of the Kohaku River, literally.
Everybody's got pretty literal names in this one.
I mean, it makes sense. They're all spirits.
Yeah.
And then there's Lynn.
Then there's Lynn, who's the best one.
Yeah, Lynn's
I
great.
love Lynn. Yes, I'm so glad you love Lynn, too.
Oh,
It's weird that she's the least froggish, because everybody else is kind of froggish, all the workers.
Well, all the females aren't. The duders are all
They're
froggish.
They're a little froggish.
Some of them are a little froggy. She's the least froggy.
She's
like,
very...
She's like, I need to put a pretty lady in this somewhere.
I'm gonna fucking die. Yeah, the ladies aren't as froggy as the dudes, but they're froggy.
A little bit. I mean, part of it is because they have, like, the traditional, like, half eyebrow.
Yeah,
thing.
the just dot eyebrows.
The dot eyebrow.
The Starfire eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I found a new appreciation for the baby and bird this time.
Me too!
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize the baby had a name. In the Japanese, it's Bo.
That just means baby.
Just means baby, I guess. I don't know. But it's at first I was like, oh, okay.
He goes on his own journey that parallels Chihiro's.
Chihiro. Like,
Yeah.
exactly parallels. And the little fly is his Haku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Voiced
by professional baby voice Tara Strong.
Yeah.
I really love the Japanese baby voice, too, though.
Yeah.
Because that sounded like an actual child.
It actually might have been. I'm looking up the guy. It was voiced by a dude, and he's age 22 now. So he would have been...
Yeah, he was born in 93, so...
Yeah, he would have been 8. No, yeah, he would have been 8.
He would have been 8, yeah. So cute.
Oh, he was in Summer Wars.
Oh.
Dope. Oh, you know what I realized those 3 heads are?
What?
They're basically pugs. They got big...
Oh, he was... Oh, shit, he was Kenji in Summer Wars. He was the main weenie.
Oh, weenie.
What a weenie. Love that weenie.
What was it? Fuckboy-kun? Is that what I...
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they're basically pugs. They got stupid eyes. They don't know what to do with their stupid bodies. They can barely make They can barely make any noise.
Yeah, I still don't know what they're actually supposed to be. Like coming back as an adult that now knows a little bit more about Japanese culture, like the naked baby with the weird apron doesn't weird me out as much as it did when I was a kid. Now I know that's just how they dressed babies for a time.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna shit all over it. Why waste your time?
Yeah. But I still don't know if there's a particular oni or spirit they're supposed to be.
Well, one thing
they
that's...
are Kashira. Let's see.
Is that Shadow, or did you know? Or...
No, that means head.
Oh.
They're heads.
I was thinking of the Kashira girl. Anyway.
Because the paper things are referred to as shikigami, which is essentially just the general word for ghosts. Small ghosts. Tiny ghosts.
Yeah, I think they're original. This I don't know if they're based off of.
Oh
anything.
no, yeah. The Specifici said a lot of it's like steeped in kind of the visual vocabulary of Japanese mythology, but most of that stuff is a ridge.
Yeah,
Dang.
Yeah, that's what I sort of figured.
I don't think there were Japanese gods or whatever. There were a bunch of cute ducks.
Yeah, those...
I mean, like...
Those were just cute ducks.
Would you be surprised?
Those are like happy kappa.
Yeah.
Aww.
They're so cute. Yeah, like, Miyazaki, he always used to say that he was intimidated. Like, when he first made his films, he wanted to get as far away as from, like, the Japanese sort of mythos as possible. That's why he used a lot of Western influences. So, but even when he did go to a more Japan setting, he would create his own creatures. Like, Totoro is not a Japanese mythical creature at all.
He is now.
He is now, but that's because he made him up. Even Nausicaa, like this...
Or Mononoke.
Not Mononoke, because Nausicaa was very Western. Mononoke has creatures that themselves are not specifically grounded in any one Japanese folklore, except for maybe the wolves got a kind of...
And speaking of Mononoke...
Amaterasu thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Mononoke, I think Miyazaki really doesn't like pigs.
I mean, there's symbolic.
Was Porco Rosso him or the other guy?
Porco Rosso is himself. That's how he depicts himself whenever he draws himself a caricature. And Porco Rosso, the character, is also just supposed to be how he views himself.
Yeah, also, like, the plot line is honestly similar. He looks like a pig because he was cursed for being a dick.
Yeah.
The pigs were terrifying in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they were scary.
I mean, large pigs are terrifying.
There is something about pigs that is just kind of scary because...
Like, any pig bigger than a mid-sized dog.
You know, like Lord of the Flies with, like, the pig head and, like...
Yeah.
Anytime you see, like...
Hamnable.
Pig parts, or even just, like, full-grown hogs just all, like, crunched into each other, it's just very disturbing. Even though I like pigs, but I like them individually. Yeah. You know? When they're together, they're just mindless. They just seem mindless and...
They're always screaming.
They're always screaming.
They're either screaming or, like, grunting. Neither is tonally pleasing.
Yeah. People forget how big pigs are when...
Oh, pigs can get big.
They can get so big. They can get the size of 2 bears.
And actually, in the Japanese poster, it's very different from the American poster. The American poster just has, like, Chihiro in front of the bathhouse. The Japanese poster has Chihiro in front of, like, a labyrinth of all the different restaurants, and, like, in the background, and then her beside the pig pen with the giant pig.
Her pig parents.
Her pig parents. Which I thought was kind of interesting. It's more gritty and less whimsical.
Chihiro's in the same pose in both ones.
Yeah, it's the same Chihiro. They just... The American poster, it's, like, more...
Photoshopped it differently.
Yeah. Also, the Japanese...
More appealing to target demographics, our studies show.
Also, the title is a little different in Japanese, too. It's Sen to Chihiro no Kamikakushi, which literally translates to Sen and Chihiro spiriting away. Because Kamikakushi is not really a concept we have in the West. Like...
I'm reading Wikipedia. Kamikakushi is used to refer to the mysterious disappearance or death of a person that happens when an angered god takes a person away. In pre-modern Japan, children would often disappear in this way and be rediscovered several days later in a shrine or temple, consistently telling a story of being swept away by a god. That's crazy.
Yeah, and here, it says... Kamikakushi is a verdict of social death in this world, and coming back to this world from Kamikakushi means social resurrection. So that makes a lot of sense as a framing device for a coming-of-age story as well. So, that's pretty cool. And it literally means hidden by gods, is what it means.
Cool.
So there you go.
Oh, this is interesting. The BFI...
Education.
The BFI lists Spirited Away as... one of the top 10 movies you should see by the age of 14.
Yeah, you definitely benefit from watching it as a child. Definitely.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you get it at that age, like, I read Hitchhiker's Guide at the right time. Like, you can enjoy that at any age, but if you're a nerd-ass, think you're smarter than everybody 11-year-old kid, man, that's going to change your life.
Yeah, there are just certain pieces of media that, like, They have the most impact for certain people at certain times. Yeah. And that's what Miyazaki tries to do, really, with his films, because Totoro, he tried to do it for, like, children, not quite. Children in between 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds.
And then Ponyo was for, like, little babies.
Was, like, 5-year-olds and younger.
You can raise a child and check off, like, do a checklist of, like, what age they are and then what Miyazaki movie you show them or what Ghibli movie.
Really, you can. And then, like, and then Kiki is more, like, preteen.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Although I feel like...
Sophie is, like, young adult woman. Just...
Yeah.
From Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah, you really can!
Yeah. I mean, if they like this, if they like what Miyazaki's stepping in, he very much has a style, and you know, some children might just be like, this is just dumb.
I can't imagine being 5 or younger and watching Ponyo and not.
Oh no, not
like,
5 or younger.
Wow!
But I mean, like as you get older and develop your own tastes. I don't want to I'm always hesitant to call anything universally praised because there's always that one unfortunate person who's just like, I don't know, I don't like it, and they have to have that conversation. It's like, what?
Well, one critique I've heard about this film is that for some people it just feels like just a series of imaginative things happening one after the other, and it's not really a story.
That's basically what I mean when I say like Miyazaki's style. He's not. It's the reasons you love his movies are not the narratives. Really,
not
like,
really.
In the same way you love a narrative of a totally different kind of thing. Like it's really, it's a lot more emotional. It's a lot more visceral. It's a lot more. It's a fairy tale. It makes you feel nice.
What's going to resonate with you is the themes, not like the plot twists or some shit.
The themes and the vignettes and maybe the pacing
and the visuals and the imagination. Yeah,
That's why every time, like, again, like some kind of BuzzFeed article, like, it's like this Miyazaki movie, like 10 Miyazaki movies that secretly have a fucked up plot, and it's like, no, they're shut up.
You're the worst website.
No one's. I mean, but like it exists just because that's how people have always been.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't invent that shit. You always hear like, oh, did you hear that this cartoon's really about like this character is in a coma? I hate you.
I know. And it's like, yeah, there is some darkness to this story. Yes, there is some undercurrents of, like, child labor because Chihiro is going back to the past. You could almost interpret it as, like, Miyazaki doesn't understand these spoiled kids, so he puts them in a situation where they have to work, you know? And then they learn how to not be spoiled fucking kids. I don't know.
And maybe it's like Miyazaki kind of learning to see it from their perspective. It's like, oh, wait, working is hard. If I was the kid, I wouldn't work. To be young again.
Yeah, like...
Anyway, hand me my third pack of cigarettes. I'm so old. I'm so done.
He does chain smoke like a motherfucker, though.
Yeah.
But he's so cool.
Yeah.
God, I'm just picturing him sitting there with like a full ashtray and like a stack of drawings.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. If you've never seen Miyazaki talk or never seen an interview with Miyazaki, you need to. And I highly suggest the documentary film The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness that came out a couple years ago. That's just all about Studio Ghibli, specifically during the time when Miyazaki was making The Wind Rises and Takahata was making Princess Kaguya. But it's really just about this creative process and about filmmaking, and it's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
If you've seen it, you can contribute to our Reddit thread about it.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's
That's the one where Miyazaki's kind of pessimistic about the future of anime, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean...
very he's like, you know, after I'm gone, like, Ghibli's gonna collapse. No, you know, there's nobody really there to take my place.
Yeah, I mean, well, remember when he first announced he was going to retire for realsies, and that was like all the anime news people could talk about, and it was always like, is he for real this time? Is he not? I mean, he's an old man, and when you listen to him, he does very much sound like an old man who's been through a lot, who's seen a lot of things, who's made a lot of things, who's very... I mean, even when he was a young man, he was very political, and he knew what he believed in.
He was always an old soul.
Yeah. So, but I just think, like, as a filmmaker, like, as a creative person, and he has this beautiful bit about animation itself, like as a medium, and why it's this creative medium that speaks to him. I don't want to ruin it, but it's a gorgeous film. If you like animation at all, if you like Miyazaki films, if you're even a little bit interested, I highly recommend it.
Do it.
So we've been going for nearly 2 hours now, which this movie deserves.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to say about it? Because I'm not going to cut it off. I just want us to all know where we stand.
It's great.
It changed my life. It really did. I mean, and I'm not being facetious. It did.
No, yeah, it seems like the perfect film for you that you watched at the perfect time, and that's super awesome.
Yeah.
It's also probably the most accessible Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really great entry level.
I think it's
I think
one of
Castle
the better.
in the Sky is very accessible.
I haven't seen enough of them, honestly, to make that kind of call. I think it's one of the more accessible ones. I think it's maybe easier to get into than, say, Totoro, because Totoro's a movie where kind of nothing happens.
Yeah, it's very
slow. Yeah, Totoro you watch, again, it's not really...
You're there to see some cute stuff. Not a lot of stuff
happens.
You're there to have fuzzy feelings.
Fuzzy feelings for fuzzy friends.
Yeah. I mean, this one and Princess Mononoke are generally considered his two greatest films, and they were made back-to-back from each other, and I really love them because they're really the two extremes of this director. I mean, Mononoke is this epic socio-political story about fucking everything, war and the nature between man and nature and industrialism and development and what we take away from the past and all this stuff. And it generally tends to get more on favorites lists. It's usually one or the other. Usually people will pick one or the other because depending on just themselves personally, what sort of stories speak to them. Do these grand epics, heavily symbolic epics, mean more to people, or do these smaller stories that are comparatively pretty, minimal by comparison, speak to you more? And I always feel like it says a lot about a person when they decide which one they prefer more over the other. Obviously, you know which one I love more, but...
For me, it's also this one by default, because every fucking time I've tried to watch Mononoke, the DVD is broken.
Speaking of which, I got the copy you bought in the mail today. I was so confused.
Yeah, I bought it, but shipped it to Nina
to me.
Because Dad said I have to stop spending money. And he's right, but I wanted to catch it while it was still on sale, because I don't know how long these Amazon sales last, so I sent it to Nina to hide it.
Wow.
What a ding-dong.
But one thing I am disappointed in, Disney, your special features on this DVD suck. Holy crap. Half the shit that I'm researching just came off of the special features from the Japanese release. Why are you so bad?
Get it together, Mouse.
Yeah, Mouse.
Mickey the Mouse.
Mickey the Mouse.
Michael!
The extent is just, this film is amazing. That's it.
Yo, I've never considered that in my life.
That his
name is Michael. Shit.
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
Michael Mouse.
No.
You think Minnie calls him Michael sometimes?
when he super fucks up.
If he you call him Michael if he drives a car through Goofy's house and kills him accidentally.
And the other thing I really hate about these DVDs... The other thing I really hate about these DVDs is the fucking John Lasseter with his fucking sweaty ass Hawaiian shirt, too orange skin, just fucking gushing about these movies you are lucky. You get to see Spirited Away.
Hey,
bitch,
dog.
I'm already fucking watching the movie. You don't have to sell me on it.
Dude, why are you advertising something I just bought?
God damn it. I don't want to have... And every time you play the movie, every time they put that in the beginning. For every Disney release of the Ghibli films.
We'll apologize and cover our asses for riffing on England a bit too much, but we just have no sympathy for this man.
I don't know. I know he's been a big influence in the industry and whatever. He rubs me the wrong way. I can't help it. He also never stops touching Miyazaki.
I was just about to say, stop it.
He'll literally never hear this. I don't care.
I want to puke every time I see him, like, half-hugging, hover-handing Miyazaki. He's like, you...
This man is...
He's not your prom date.
He's your elder. And he always makes this face where he's, like, very uncomfortable, but he can't...
But super polite.
But super polite.
That's what umami is.
Oh, John Lasseter. Have I made that joke where I just imagine him, like, on his bed, like, lying on his stomach with his legs kicking in the air, twirling his knot pigtails, while dreaming about Miyazaki in his, like, scrapbook. In one of those composition notebooks. Yeah, just like...
drawing them kissing.
Miyazaki-san, Lasseter-san. Miyazaki-san and Lasseter-san. Miyazaki-san and Lasseter-san.
He does a little, writes both of their names under an umbrella thing.
Yeah. My best friend, he always introduces him that way. My great friend, Miyazaki-san. And it's just like, Brian Lasseter. Like, yes, you are probably single-handedly responsible for making these films available in the United States, and I'm very grateful for that. But you gotta stop being such a weeb.
Jonathan Lasseter.
Take it down a notch, dude.
Buy a real shirt.
Just one. You don't even have one.
What do you wear for Casual Friday?
3 Hawaiian shirts.
No. Regularly he wears a Hawaiian shirt. Casual Friday he has it unbuttoned.
Oh no! Oh.
No.
Let's wrap this segment up.
Okay.
Go fucking watch the movie. Okay, that was wrap up part.
Alrighty.